Why do you have so many fucking drills?
Well, I use them. Why the fuck do you have so many dildos? Damn, Kimmy. You gotta slow that shit down in a residential area.
Fuck it.
Alright, Kimmy, you dirty rat. If you think you can do the intro to Mike's Garage better than me, you do it.
I will.
Do it.
Fine.
Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome to Mike's Garage. This is part 2 on how to paint your car at home. We're going to show you more disassembly of the MR2 along with priming, guide coating, and sanding.
Just as I thought.
What? It was way better than you.
Horrible. Terrible.
Fuck off.
Alright guys, what not to do when painting your car outside. You do not use cheap tape. Here we have a good tape from your automotive painter supply store. The green's usually the best, at least that's what it is at my paint store around here. They do sell some cheaper stuff like this orange stuff, and I believe it comes in yellow and blue also if you're on a budget. But one thing you do not do, what I done years ago, is use the Blue Harbor Freight tape, because you know what's going to happen? Your spray gun is going to blow that shit right off, and you're going to be pissed. You're going to do a lot of swearing like I did. So don't skimp on the tape, guys. Go to your automotive paint store to buy it. Alright guys, I just started taping off the car. And look, when it comes to paper, like I get my paper from an automotive paint supply store, and this paper has a thin coat of wax on it to keep the paint from seeping through. Now, if you need to save a little money and you want to use some advertisements or newspaper that you got in the mail, that's fine. Just make sure it has like a laminated finish or a wax coating on it, and you can use that. But for as much as that paper costs, you're probably better off just going to buy it. Alright, Kimmy, I have a lot of information to cover in this video, so we need to get serious. Enough horseplay.
Ooh, time to get serious, folks.
I'm serious.
Whatever.
Okay guys, car's pretty much taped off. I am doing this car a little bit different. A full-blown restoration, I would be taking the bumpers off. But there's one thing you don't take off of MR2s when you paint them, is that door molding. Always leave that on. I see a lot of guys pull that off. Don't worry, the clear coat will expand and contract with that rubber piece because the two-sided tape is just so strong. And I am leaving a bunch of, like normally I would take this molding off, but I don't want to break them. I'm pretty sure they'll break. It's pretty old. But I'll show you what I'm going to do to make sure the clear coat doesn't crack on the expansion and contraction of the plastic and metal later. Alright guys, got the car all taped up, put some covers over the wheels, got everything taped up where it should be, and I'm just cleaning it with some Windex. Primer's not too fussy about what it's cleaned with. There'll be no reactions, and like I said, it's primer. You can sand anything out. Alright guys, here is the polyester primer we are going to use. It's made by Evercoat. They make awesome stuff. This is Featherfill G2, and don't confuse this with the Featherfill original. That was hard to sand. This is very easy to sand. It comes with 4 hardeners, 1 for each quart. I like to mix up a quart at a time, then spray. And the coolest thing about polyester primer, guys, is you do not need a sealer with polyester primer. You can just put your base coat on and then your clear coat. With any other primers, K2 or anything else, you're gonna need a sealer. We're spraying outside. We want to keep spraying to a minimum. And you can pick this up, guys, on eBay for like 60 bucks shipped. I think I got this at my local automotive paint store. It was like 88. So you might want to go to eBay for this one. Alright guys, I know I don't gotta tell a lot of you this, but first thing you do when you open this primer or any type of paint, you fucking stir it. And because there's a lot of gook on the bottom of this, look at that. So this needs a good stirring. Alright guys, I'm grabbing my trusty Harbor Freight primer gun. I like to have two guns, one for primer, one for base coat clear coat. I use my good DeVilbiss gun for base coat clear coat, but you can totally use this. I painted, I've had this gun 12 years, it's been awesome. I painted the Gen 4 project and the paint job turned out real well. Actually, the first car show I ever entered the Gen 4 project in, I got best in show, which I was surprised.
Seriously? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, anyways guys, I think they even have a better version of this gun at Harbor Freight now, and it's like 60 bucks. And it's just a great gun. So you can use this for primer and base coat clear coat. It doesn't really matter. And we'll show you how to set the settings on this.
Ooh, time to get serious, folks.
Okay guys, how I set up this gun. Now this is an older Harbor Freight gun like I said, but all the settings are still the same. You got 3 adjustment knobs. We'll start with this one in the back. This is your paint volume control. You screw it in, you get less paint. You screw it out, you get more. Now for painting a car, we want to get maximum paint out of this, so we're going to screw this all the way out, lock it down, and you're good. Now this next knob is your fan control. Now that controls the pattern on how the tip sprays the paint out, and you always want the classic oval pattern. If I had paint in this gun right now and I held it 6 to 8 inches away from this piece of paper and sprayed it, you would want this classic oval pattern. You can kind of see how big it is compared to my hand, give or take an inch. But yeah, adjust your fan until you get the classic oval pattern and you're good to go there. And the last knob on the gun is air volume, and you also want to max that out. Screw that all the way out, lock it down, you'll never have to touch it again. We don't want anything restricting the air into the gun other than the inline pressure regulator. Now these come with most guns, but if you don't have one, you can pick one up at Harbor Freight for I think $5, and there's the knob. We'll be regulating the air with that. So okay, you want to set the gun. What PSI do you spray your primer at? Now I spray my primer and my base coats at 25 to 30 PSI. Some guys go lower, some guys go even higher. 25 to 30 PSI works good for me. And how you regulate that air, now say this was hooked up to the compressor, you would pull the trigger. Now there's air coming out of the tip right now. You would adjust your knob to 25 to 30 PSI on the gauge. Always regulate the air with the trigger pressed. Now to do clear coat, I go a bit higher on the PSI. I go 40 to 50 PSI on clear coat. That just works for me, but I don't recommend you spray at 40 to 50 PSI until you get a feel for the gun. But other than that, guys, I hope I got my point across, and let's prime the goddamn car.
Alright guys, you can get these at the paint store for fucking free. Fucking use them so you don't have shit in your paint.
Alright guys, the car is primed and I just took the paper off. And yes, you take the paper off after you prime it. You will be taping it again when we do the final paint. But yeah, it turned out real good. When the primer lays, you can kind of see what you missed. I missed 2 little spots, but no big deal. Nothing, and yeah, say you missed something. Like, I noticed, right, where is it? Right there. I gotta fill that in with a little spot putty, and then with a little dent right here. And that's no big deal. All you do, get some spot putty, get it the way you want it, sand it down, and use some can primer. Don't worry about breaking this stuff out again. I've never had a problem with the reaction. If you're just spotting something, just try to get the same color, because you want a consistent color when you lay that base coat. Okay guys, you just laid your polyester primer and you're like, hey, when can I get sanding? Well guys, this is the bummer. You gotta let this sit for a while. You need to let the primer shrink. I know the can says no shrinking, but all primers shrink to a certain extent, so you gotta let it sit. The last thing you want to do is lay some expensive ass base coat and even more expensive clear coat. Then the primer shrinks a couple days later and it fucks everything up. So, and another reason you want to let it sit and dry out, it won't clog your sandpaper as much. So guys, I know it's tempting to get started on it quick, but do yourself a favor, have some patience, and wait 2 days. And let it sit in the sun if you can. No, Kimmy, there was a guy online, he's like, Mike, why the hell do you have so many drills?
Yeah, so why do you have so many drills? You have them all over the fucking garage. You have them sitting in the fucking drawers, hanging from the ceiling. You have 8 alone sitting on the fucking toolbox. Why do you have so many fucking drills?
Well, I use them. Why the fuck do you have so many dildos? I upgraded from the old brush motors to the brushless. Night and day difference with the brushless motors. Way more torque with the brushless. What? What?
Seriously? Dildos?
Well, you've been single for a little while now. It's not like you don't have any, right?
You're such a fucking asshole.
Well, if you have any battery-powered ones, I'd highly recommend going brushless.
Turn the fucking camera off.
You know I can't do that, Kimmy.
Kill that fucking bitch out! Tell her to chill!
Okay guys, when it comes to sandpaper, you're going to sand your polyester primer. Here's what you do. I highly recommend you guys go get some of these spools. It's so convenient. Made by Norton. You can get them at your automotive paint supply store. I start with a 220 grit, then I go to a 320 grit, and this might sound a little weird, and then you wet sand with a 600. There's no need to go to 400 or 500 grit. I don't care what some guys tell you. I've been doing this for years. My uncle is probably one of the best painters in California. This is what he does, and he's done some really high dollar cars. So trust me on this, it works great. Alrighty guys, I'm getting ready to sand the polyester primer on the MR2, but first I'm going to lay some of this SEM guide coat down. Now if you're not familiar with guide coat, let me show you. It's pretty simple. Now guide coat paint is made to not clog sandpaper. It lays down very thin, and here you see I just have it on the hood right here, and I just lightly dusted it on, and that's all you need. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want a guide so you don't miss any spots on the car. Like you could see a spot I sanded here. You just sand until the guide coat's off, and then when we get into the longboard, it can show you high and low spots, and we'll get into that in a little while.
Okay guys, when it comes to the sanding pads, since the MR2 is so curvy, you don't want a real hard one.
Oh yeah, when's the last time you said that, Kimmy?
Shut the fuck up.
Alright, go ahead.
You don't want a real soft one.
Definitely not.
You want one right in between.
Awesome.
Okay guys, so what's cool about these spools here with the sanding paper is you can just cut the size that you need. Shit. Okay guys, so what's cool about the sandpaper spools is you can cut the length that you need for your sanding pad. And it has a sticky back. So you can just fucking... You guys know what I mean. See?
Alright Kimmy, what do you got to say?
Alright guys, with the guide coat, you can not only see a difference, but you can hear a difference as well when you're sanding. So this spot's already been done, and you can hear how light and smooth it is. But over here, it's a lot harder and rougher.
Man, that is great information, Kimmy.
Fuck you.
Alright guys, so here's the good thing about guide coat. As you can see, like that's all smooth, but you can see there's still a little guide coat right there, and it feels a little rough. That's something I probably would have missed if I wasn't using guide coat. So guide coat helps a lot. Alright guys, Kimmy's going to show you how to get the rear tail lights off.
Okay, so first there's a screw here that's already been removed. Then you're going to take your plastic wedge and just put it right under here. Pop that out, take the bulb out. You got 2 screws here. And just pop it out just like that.
See the 2 clips there, right here, and then there's 2 clips it just snaps into right there. Okay guys, to get this center rear plastic off, well first of all this center emblem just snaps in, you can see, and if you flip it over you can see there's molded in bolts, 1, 2 at the top and 1, 2 that I broke at the bottom, and then there's these 2 clips that are supposed to pop out, are supposed to snap out, but they never do. As you can see, they're still in the car, so I'll have to get those out with some pliers. And I'll just have to epoxy some other screws in there. So easy fix, and I wish it was easier getting this off, but it is old.
Alright guys, so that's a wrap on part 2 on how to paint your car at home. Unfortunately, we don't know when the next video is going to be out because Jackass has to go out of town again for work. But if you like the videos, please give us a thumbs up and leave some comments, good or bad. We love reading them. Other than that, take it easy.